I have a question for you. I've been I've been fooling around with the concept of having guns that I'm kind of married to, right? Like up until this point in my life, I looked at most guns as disposable tools. I didn't really put a lot of time or customization into them. And when it came time to get keepers, the two that I picked were a 1911 that you guys have seen, and this thing. And my question to you is, if you were armed with this and only this, would you feel safe? Would you feel armed? Do you know how to use this? I guess this is kind of like part of my thought on this is I've been learning about black powder revolvers for like the last 20 years. I just always thought they were cool. I always wanted one. And I wanted a defensive one. Like, I don't know. My thought with this thing is I have this in my purse a lot, and it's kind of an outdoors gun. Like, this is for going camping and shit, but like at the same time, I'd rather have this than a 380. I'd rather have this than a 380 by a lot. 44 caliber slugs will put a man down. Hell of a lot better than a 380 will. And I kind of just figured if I'm going to be married to a gun, like, this is big and heavy or whatever, right? But, like, I'm not going to carry this thing in a pocket. It's either going to be in a purse or it's going to be on a belt and a holster. And I don't know, I think it's dope. I might get a smaller black powder revolver eventually too, but like, part of my reasoning for this one is I think you need some stopping power. And fucking, again, 44 caliber slugs will do that. A lot of people look at this like it's a joke in the gun community, and I think that's wrong. I think that you should look at this as the gift that it is. You can go buy a very capable gun at a fucking hardware store without any paperwork still. That's dope. We're one of the only countries in the world where a convicted felon can go buy a repeating firearm just the day he gets out of jail, basically. As far as I understand it. Like, I don't know, there's no paperwork or whatever in the way. So he might be breaking some sort of a rule or law or whatever. But as I understand it, convicted felons can even own these. And this is back to like, well, what happens if you find yourself on the wrong side of the law? What if this is all you got? It might behoove you to know how to use it. In addition to that, from an outdoors perspective, I think it's kind of cool to carry one of these. Like, what are you really going to need a pistol for? Like, if this is the only gun you're carrying, you might shoot a possum or something with it. Or a fucking, you could kill a deer with this thing. I've been close enough to a deer in Missouri to kill it with one of these. It's one of those, like, just carry it with you all the time. Eventually a fucking deer will be within range. If you live in the right area. Like, that's the other thing I think people don't get about this gun. It's a 44 caliber pistol. These were not meant to shoot at people. These are meant to shoot at horses. As such, you know, any gun that will drop a horse at 50 yards is a hunting tool. And, you know, I would feel pretty confident hunting anything but, like, squirrels or something with this. Like, squirrels, I think you'd really fuck one up. So this is, like, taking the place of a .22 revolver in some ways. Like, this is... I wanted the gun, not a bunch of guns. And for that, you can vary the power on this because you're hand loading it. So you can go 22 if you want. or you can go fucking 44 Magnum type loads or whatever. They don't get that hot, but I've been toying with the idea of seeing how hot I could load it. I don't know. I just did whatever the fucking spout measures on my fucking flask on this round. Half of my thought with this thing is like, it's like the challenge of it. And I want a revolver. And at the point that you're having a revolver, you're antiquated. And I guess this thing is just real antiquated, but it's not that antiquated. It's not as antiquated as people would give it credit compared to, you know, some modern firearms. This thing's still quite capable. I don't know that I would take this over a modern firearm, but given that I've proven this out to myself and I've loaded it and whatever, and I know I have 6 shots of this, I might take it over a high point. I don't know. I also really like the ability to like resupply the thing indefinitely. And I think it's cool to like, you know, carry the stuff to, you know, reload with you in the field, and you shoot a raccoon or possum or some shit. You can reload your one chamber, act all tact cool. Basically, this gives me something to do. That's kind of what it is. Like, I'm carrying around a fucking 2-pound steel club because I dig it, basically. And I think that's, you know, if nothing else, Kossoff digs this. And I kind of plan on having the fucking BBC holster on my web gear, so that like I have my EDC holster, I can take it out of this and just put it in the BBC war holster. I'm gonna build like a whole nom rig. It's gonna be awesome. I'm building my my John Wayne pistol belt from Vietnam or whatever. I don't know. I wanted a set of cowboy guns, and I wanted it to be modern and utilitarian and whatever. And like, I have a plan now. It's gonna cost some money. I need a belt and some pouches, and I want a coat. And I might have to order the belt and pouches and then order the coat. I don't know. I don't want to do that, but it would save me shipping to order it all at once. But at the same time, I'd like to get the shit. And adding on the coat basically doubles the price of the fucking order. So, I don't know. I want rigger pouches to go across my back, to have like shit like gloves, hat, fucking dump pouch, that kind of shit in. Like, I think it'll be real handy for that, and you could pack some other stuff in there with them. I'm kind of making like a survival gun belt kind of a thing. I figure I'll make it to go with the camo pack with water in it, and I don't know, I might put a fucking canteen thing on this belt. Like, I keep thinking about that too. I need a canteen pouch that holds a fucking Nalgene. That would really solve a lot of issues, just having a Nalgene. And I have a Nalgene canteen cup already. So, like, I'm building, like, a survival kit, I guess, out of fucking web gear, and I have a black powder revolver on it. I need to figure out a possibles bag for this thing to have its extra shit. And I need to go get more caps and balls and everything but powder. I got, like, 2 pounds of powder, which is probably enough for this thing for a bit. I might get 1 more pound. But, yeah, this is legitimately like, hey, we don't want to waste ammo. Also, um, compared to like a 5.56 rifle, this thing's real quiet. A lot of people underestimate that shit. I don't know how it compares to a 45 auto. It's probably pretty similar, but got the stealth factor of the black powder. It does make smoke and have a pretty significant muzzle blast, though. But like, for the things I'd be using this for, like getting food, I'm not worried about somebody hearing it 10 feet away. I'm worried about somebody hearing it 10 miles away. This thing, you're not going to hear 10 miles away. My pistol belt setup I'm going to go for, I got a set of Marine Corps suspenders they're the World War II pattern, but they're from Vietnam. I'm going to try those first. If that doesn't work, I'm going to get a M1956 harness. And I'm going to get it at the front pistol belt. So I have a modern new one that's not all junky. And I want the World War II belt because as a hookup for a 1911 pouch I have. I think that'll look cool. I think I'm going to use that for like a knife and a flashlight. I don't know. We might put 1911 mags in it. We'll see. I'm gonna build a whole fucking like survival kit on fucking web gear though. I think this is like the best idea I've ever really had. It's like, really, we're going into the Mad Max apocalypse. What I'm building here is my like cowboy rig for fucking roaming the wastelands. Trying to keep it light as possible, but yet at the same time, we're a cowboy in the new American West. We can't be that light. Like, we still gotta keep our guns, man. Kossoff would agree. Fuck all the rest of you fuckers. Like, I don't know. It's probably not the wisest thing in the world to have a fucking set of steel guns for the end of the world. But then at the same time, I kind of think this thing's going to keep working for fucking a long goddamn time. And that 1911, you can just keep rebuilding. I think I chose wisely. I kind of view like, this is my critter gun. The 1911's my people gun. Then like, we carry a 22 takedown rifle and a 5.56 rifle and have, that capability too. I wish I had something better than 5.56, but at the same time, I really like the lightweightness of 5.56. So like, that's just is what it is. That's the rifle system that we can have. So that's what we got. And again, like, I don't know. It's a different thing to me to carry this on a belt than it is to carry a heavier rifle. And like, I want kind of a PDW kind of rifle. I want to save some weight there. So I can carry me black powder guns. I know, I don't have to make sense to you. This is one of those things I could totally just ditch off the rig too. Like, I don't think I would. But this is one of those, like, never gonna get in a hurry, so it really doesn't matter. Like, one of the things like people don't get is cat. If people are fucking around to the point that you're like, man, I need to hurry, I would go dig a hole. This is why we carry the shovel. I would dig a hole and I would start setting my ammo around it and shit, and I would deploy my kit and get ready to defend myself. When you start fucking entrenching, people take notice, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if we'll get away with that or not, but like, that would be a play, wouldn't it? Just go start digging a foxhole. What are you doing? Oh, well, you guys are getting ready to try to kill me, right? So I'm digging a hole because I'm just going to keep killing you until you're a dead, mounded pile of bodies on top of me. And like, I don't know. It might be handy to have a hole to hide in. That's why you need a bayonet. Also, I'll add that after you get your six with this thing, it's a hell of a fucking club. It is a melee weapon in and of itself. So, like, this is kind of like carrying War Club to me. Like, she is multifunction tool. Not to mention, like, I think when, like, Wyatt Earp with Buffalo people, he hit him with the barrel, which on one of these things really makes sense because there's quite a bit of fucking weight there. Fuck you up, man. Fucking black powder revolver. I do dig this thing. Like, I always dug cowboy guns, and I always bought, like, the man with no name revolver because, like, it has the black powder vibes, but is in 38. I gotta say, it's a lot cooler having the real deal in some ways. If it's functional. Like, this is the thing, is most people that have a black powder revolver, I think, they have one of these that they paid a couple $100 for, and they threw it in a safe just to say that they had one, but they've never even shot it. I can't wait to shoot this thing. These get a lot cooler to me if you know the wizardry and shit to make them work. Which, thanks to In-Range TV and Duelist 1954, is pretty available out there. And I've been watching a lot of shit from Blackie Thomas. I think he's from somewhere in Oklahoma, but his thoughts are the same as mine on this being an outdoorsman's tool. I also really like that basically as an outdoorsman's tool, I could carry this anywhere. I mean, you might even be able to get away with carrying this in Canada. And that's a hard thing to do, basically, you know. If you can carry a fucking handgun in Canada, you might be able to carry it anywhere. And you'd be like, well, why would you ever be concerned about that? Well, what if you go traveling? Like, I really would like to go up to, like, fucking Alaska and, I don't know, do something in the Yukon. I want to go try dog sledding, like, under the instruction of someone so I don't die. I think that'd be fun. And, you know, if you're up there doing dog sledding stuff and whatever, why not have a black powder revolver? And this is where I'd really like to get one of these loaded fucking really, really hot, because, like, bears are a thing. But in reality, I think if you have this and a can of bear mace, you're good. Because, like, the bear mace is for the bears, this is for everything else. You know? Basically, the bear is just such a fucking big thing that, like, I really don't want to pick a fight with it with a black powder revolver. And at the same time, I'm betting if I shot it in the eye with this thing while I'm bear macing it, it'll go away. I don't know. These guns aren't really for bear country. They're for, like, Texas, Arizona. Like, we have small bears here and they just run away. They need to make a black powder revolver that's capable of killing a bear. That would be badass. Like, that would be the gun to have, whatever that is. I guess it's probably like a Ruger New Army. Get some Remington, maybe. The Remington should be able to take more of a charge. It has a solid frame. This is where, like, this thing's cool, but this is not going to be the last black powder gun I own. For now, this is my one and only Hi-Cat. And honestly, I like that it's a Colt. You know, say whatever you will. I get the solid frame of the Remington. It's not a bad idea. It's one of those, like, I think a Remington version of this gun is in my future at some point. I don't know how long that's going to take me to get around to. It's one of those like, do I need the one black powder revolver? No. No. But it would be cool to have one that could kill grizzly bears. And polar bears and shit. Have like the world's most powerful black powder. Again, I like the fact that you could just go to a store and buy one of these. I think that's cool. And half of what I'm wanting to do videos on this channel about is stuff for anyone that anyone could enjoy or whatever. And this is a thing that not only can like felons buy this and it's a defensive thing or whatever, but this is cheap. A lot of people don't get how cheap this is. It's not as cheap as it used to be now, but like this gun with all the fancy fucking engraving and whatever was fucking like $400. Okay, there are ones without fancy engraving for like $200. There's a hell of a lot of used black powder guns at a gun show for $100. So let that sink in. You could get into this hobby for nothing. And it's a hobby that, you know, should you ever find yourself with a black powder revolver between you and freedom or whatever, you might know how to use it. You know, think about John Wick when he had to build that whole fucking gun, man. Like, don't you want to be John Wick? Learn to use a black powder revolver. Keep the history alive. Also, get a Confederate holster, because, like, fuck those people. I don't know. I like the Confederate shit because, like, I don't see that as endorsing slavery or whatever. Our entire thing about the Confederacy is mistaught and misunderstood in schools. There were a bunch of slave owners in it. There was also a whole bunch of people that just didn't want to get owned by the federal government. That we're now all owned by the federal fucking government. I would like to restore the Constitution. And that's the part of the Confederacy that I actually like. Anyway, I think it's kind of dope that you can get some Civil War stuff to fit this stuff. Mainly because we're getting ready to fight a second Civil War. So, also I wanted to make my, sexual racist joke holster for fucking, I don't know. I view that as like Django Unchained's bitch's holster or something. I don't know. Like, there's like some Django Unchained vibes in my fucking revolver. I really liked that movie. It's one of those, like, there's not that many modern movies made with black powder guns. That one and the new True Grit were both real good, though. Anyway, hope somebody got something out of this. If nothing else, Kossoff got to enjoy me talking about black powder revolvers. So, see you guys later.